stating that it was almost beyond question that the skeleton of a human being found by wreck in 1913 was the oldest known authentic skeleton of Homo sapiens. However, from the very beginning there were many academics who disagreed with Rex dating of the skeleton. Their main objection was that his work was undertaken at Olduvai without any understanding of archaeological stratigraphy. In 1932, English geologist P.G.H. Boswell carried out heavy mineral analysis of Bed 2 and of the deposit near the skeleton and came to the conclusion that the skeleton was a burial and intrusive to Bed 2. Although the deposit in which the skeletal remains were discovered was indeed of Middle Pleistocene date, geological analysis of the material surrounding the skeleton showed it to contain red pebbles and limestone chips. Such material is not found in Bed 2, but occurs higher up in the sequence, which indicates that it is later than that. This would make it certain that the skeleton was intrusive in that layer. In other words, the skeleton lay in a grave cut down from a higher layer. Eventually, Reck himself came to accept the explanation. The case for a much more modern date for the Olduvai man's skeleton appeared to be closed when, in the 1970s, radiocarbon dating of the remains showed them to be no older than 19,000 BC. This apparently proved that the remains belonged to a post-Ice Age man of the Capstone culture, and that they had become embedded in layers dating from the early Pleistocene. The radiocarbon dates were apparently obtained by German anthropologist Professor Rainer Proch von Zieten of the University of Frankfurt. Unfortunately, in February 2005, it was revealed that the 30-year-long career of this distinguished academic had come to an abrupt end due to the fact that he had been systematically falsifying the dates on numerous Stone Age relics. Thomas Terberger, the archaeologist who discovered the fraud, said, "Anthropology is going to have to completely revise its picture of modern man between 40,000 and 10,000 years ago. Professor Proch's work appeared to prove that anatomically modern humans and Neanderthals had coexisted and perhaps even had children together. This now appears to be rubbish." The academic scandal was only discovered when the professor was caught trying to sell his department's entire chimpanzee skull collection in the United States. Further inquiries later established that he had also authorized fake fossils as real and had plagiarized other scientists' work. An important Hamburg skull fragment, which was believed to have come from the world's oldest German, a Neanderthal, was actually only 7,500 years old, according to Oxford University's radiocarbon dating unit. The unit also established that other skulls dated by Professor Rainer Proch von Zieten had been wrongly dated. Some of the professor's other hoaxes were more extreme. One of his more sensational finds, Binshoff's Speyer woman, was dated by him to 21,300 years ago, but in fact lived in 1300 BC, while Paderborn's Sandeman, dated by the professor to an incredible 27,600 BC, only died a couple of hundred years ago in 1750. Professor Ulrich Brandt, who led the investigation into the nefarious activities, said, "It's deeply embarrassing. Of course the university feels very bad about this. The professor refused to meet us, but we had 10 sittings with 12 witnesses. Their stories about him were increasingly bizarre. After a while, it was hard to take it seriously. You had to laugh. It was just unbelievable. At the end of the day, what he did was incredible." Investigators also discovered that some of the 12,000 skeletons stored in the university department's bone cellar were missing their heads, apparently sold by the professor to friends in the US and various dentists. The professor, who lived in Mainz with his wife Angelina, refused to answer questions by reporters, merely saying that he was the victim of an intrigue and that all the disputed fossils are my personal property. So where does this leave Olduvai man? The radiocarbon dating by the remains by Professor Proch cannot be taken seriously. Until full proof of radiocarbon dating is performed on the skeleton, Reck's original hypotheses that he had discovered the remains of the oldest known skeleton of Homo sapiens cannot be dismissed out of hand. A skeleton dubbed Littlefoot, discovered in South Africa in the 1990s, is claimed to be the most complete ancient hominin in the fossil record. The results of recent analysis into the skeleton have caused controversy, as researchers claim that Littlefoot actually lived some 3.67 million years ago, about a million years earlier than previous claims.